Right, Phil?
No, I'm supposed to ask if anybody's recording the meeting other than,
Yes, I am for DPW minutes.
yes. Next agenda item is to review and approve the meeting minutes of 1/16/2019. Did you read?
I did read them, heard them in the email, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 1/16/2019.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll let
Good.
Superintendent's report.
All right, first item on my list to discuss with the board this evening, I would like to introduce Mr. Clace. As the department's new highway utilities manager, he'll be taking over Roy Esposito's position as of March 15th. James brings about 13 years of experience in the Granby, Connecticut DPW, so welcome James aboard. The next item I have on the agenda for the board this evening is the department met with the Capital Improvement Committee on January 24th to review the FY20 Capital Improvement Plan for the DPW. Everything was well received. Our next step will be presentation to the town council, which will be working with them on March 5th. So I will keep the board abreast of of what transpires and on the list of the projects that will be approved. I did provide also in your packet this evening the FY20 budget. I did I guess edit the FY20 operational budget. It was just some salary items that I needed to modify based on the weeks. I based our previous budget, it was 52 weeks, it needed to be 52.4 weeks. That was obviously given to me by the town accountant. The only other thing I modified within that budget based on our conversations in evaluating our sewer true-up cost for last year, I increased our sewer line item for Springfield Water and Sewer by $70,000. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay. The Department of Public Works was notified on February 6th that we received a grant for the reconstruction of a bridge slash culvert located on Porter Road over the South Branch Mill River. The total project cost is estimated at $260,000. I am working with John Davis from Mott McDonald to get obviously all the required paperwork going and everything else, so I will keep the board apprised of that progress also. The department also has applied for the LE Streetlight Retrofit program through the MACP. This will assist the town with the offsetting the purchase of the National Grid owned streetlights. These street lights are also, we were looking to get smart control systems on the street lights along with cameras. This will also help offset some of those expenditures. I did receive an email today from the MAPC regarding the LED streetlight retrofit program. So basically the project estimated cost is $400,000. With the incentives, they will be offsetting that price also with $273,000 more dollars. That'll give the town's portion of the project at $127,000. So we'll see. This is just the preliminary stages of the grant process. I will keep the board obviously notified of any changes with that.
What's the percentage of National Grid ownership and town ownership?
We do not own any streetlights.
I didn't think so. They own them all, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
2020 is expected completion for that?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I'm not sure how this grant works because I believe I explained to you guys previously, we did have Real Term Energy that came in. We did an RFP last August, I believe. And that total project cost was $600,000, obviously because of all the extra things that we want to incorporate in our streetlights. So I'm not sure how that works when it comes to a grant and the offsetting the price and how to add those extra costs into this whole
Right.
project. But I will figure that out once we proceed forward. Okay?
For the bridge work,
Yes.
what kind of impact is that gonna be for that section of town?
It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna probably be a few days of that, that culvert being down, obviously for demolition and the reinstallation of the new culvert. So there is obviously a roundabout way of getting around that area. Obviously, you have to go back to, I believe, Wilbraham Road to get over to Parker Street in Springfield, come back this way, or to go down, I believe, not Wilbraham Road, Sewell Road, and then back down Stony Hill to get back onto Allen Street.
So that'll be a complete shutdown for a couple days, or will it
Yeah.
be open at nighttime, or?
This is a
Okay.
new one for me.
Okay.
I've never done, I didn't even realize we had bridges in town.
Neither did I.
Really not bridges, they're culverts, so
Right. Pipes under
the
the middle of the
terminology
road.
is a little, yeah.
Alright.
But once we,
It will be an inconvenience.
Yeah, are they gonna
But-
install sidewalks with part of this project, or no?
no, it's just the culvert replacement. Like I said, it's $260,000, so we're gonna continue to apply for all these grants and
Yeah.
see where it takes us. Okay?
Yeah, great.
Our Stormwater Enterprise Fund bylaw was approved by the bylaw subcommittee on February 1st. The council will be voting on the new bylaw this evening to move forward. The deadline for the bylaw must be approved by the town council by March 1st. So given tonight's vote, hopefully it goes through. I will need to do 2 readings before the end of this fiscal year in order to get this passed also. So it's looking good. So we'll see what happens at tonight's council meeting.
That's good.
The last thing on the agenda for the board is the Collector Treasurer Office is looking for us to abate 76 Gates Avenue in the amount of $1,384.90 from 2009. This is just some housekeeping items which the Collector Treasurer is looking for the board to recommend to the town manager. If I could get a vote from the board to proceed forward with that recommendation?
You wanna make the recommendation?
Sure, yeah, I'll make a recommendation to abate the request from 76 Gates Avenue for $1,384.90.
I second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I do want to let the board know also our rates and fees will be due on April 1st of this year, so I'm going to be diving right into this in the upcoming weeks to get our rates and fees situated. So we'll be scheduling probably another meeting or looking for the board's approval to probably next 2 to 3 weeks. But I will send out an email and let you guys know.
Okay,
Okay? That's all I have for you this evening.
thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next up is the Deputy Superintendent.
Good afternoon. We got just some MS4 updates. We're working on the IDD plan right now, the illicit discharge detection. Working with Mike Ray, mapping all the outfalls and all the catchments. We got to do an initial outfall ranking for that as well. We're still waiting for word back on how our notice of intent was received by the DEP. The time that they were supposed to have offered comment has elapsed, but it's the DEP, so we'll wait until we hear how that went. And then the only other big thing is our stormwater management program that we're working with Time Bond on as well. That's just the outline of how we're gonna handle all the aspects of the permit. That's due June 30th, so that's pretty much where we stand on that. We're in pretty good shape for the end of the fiscal year here. And then we're getting our street list finalized for Chapter 90 paving. Kind of going through the numbers and seeing what, obviously it'll depend on the capital number. When that comes back, we did ask for quite a bit more money from the capital outlay. We'll see what that comes back at. And that'll obviously get us some more pavement down.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how that goes.
Did they increase chapter 90?
We actually got a 20%, everybody got a 20% increase this last year, but there's no guarantee that's gonna happen again.
Right.
There are no guarantees as far, I guess, the chapter 90 money always usually comes out, but there's really no guarantee what that number lands on.
Yeah,
We do the best with what we got.
we put in $500,000. I don't know if the board remembers what we put in for the
Yeah.
extra paving, so we'll see how that goes.
See how that's received. I'm guessing since it's never been asked for before,
Mhm.
that's kind of a large number for them to just shell out, but, you know, hopefully, they see the need for it and we explained where we wanna be, so, we'll see how that works out. And then, since we're talking about chapter 90, we did get approved by the state, we got a new, asphalt recycler and hot box that, should be here within the next couple of weeks for doing small paving and potholes, so.
Awesome.
The other one's on its way out, so it'll be nice. This one's got a timer and a dump body and all sorts of, it should be a great asset to the department, so. That's all I got.
Quick question, Bruce. You sent me a list of requirements on the DEP.
Yep.
But it was just a listing of what they are. Could you modify that and say in-house, outside, and costs
Absolutely.
associated with it?
Sure.
And whether it is done annually or every 2 years,
Yep.
3 years?
For the
whatever?
MS4,
Yeah, even including the MSA, but there was a lot of
Everything.
other
Yeah.
items in that listing.
And just keep in mind too, a lot of those reports, and like I've said in the past, a lot of the data is usually, I guess, the DPW does a lot of the information gathering, and then having an outside firm is getting that data, putting it into something that obviously looks presentable, and just have the, I guess, the knowledge and the ability to put it all together with
Yeah.
graphs and other things that, you know,
I'd be looking for both
yeah.
and assume a large portion of the
In-house-
liability.
in-house,
return.
outside, and costs associated
Yep.
with outside to support it, if that's the case, that they're doing the supporting the in-house gathering of information and stuff. And whether that's done annually
Yep.
across the board there,
Yep.
I'd be looking to look at that with
Sure.
you.
Yep.
We got a whole bunch of MS4 information for you, Phil.
I know that. I think we have to have discussions. I think you need to have those discussions with the DEP representative as far as, since it's brand new to some degree, on whether some of these requirements are handwritten reports or reports that have to be delivered to them, whether they're yearly or bi-yearly, 2 years, 3 years, and what contingency is in the rules of getting that. Is it under their authority, or is it, written in stone that you gotta do these reports every year? What leeway is there with their authority versus going to a higher level?
Right.
Because it seems like it's all new, and they're writing the rules now as they go along.
Yeah, like for instance, the MS4 permit, there's an annual report. There was an annual report with our last permit. It was less, or it was more, or less stringent, so.
Right.
This is the thing
And
too,
the-
yeah.
The permit was administratively extended,
Mhm.
meaning everything was out of date, but they just didn't get back to the legislation, so these reports were coming in, and I'm sure they weren't being looked at or scrutinized like this new permit is going to be.
Right, because what was the last NIPD's permit for the
03.
MS4? 03. So they've been working on this since 03 to update it, so all these communities have known about it,
Yeah.
that it was going to be updated
It was
through the
probably a 5
NIPD.
or 10 year permit,
Right.
and then at that point, they didn't have a new one yet, so they
Right.
just kind of
Right.
let it ride.
Right, because we also have one coming out for the sewer system, the NIPD's permit. We've seen it in the last couple of years when I first started as superintendent. So we know that's coming too. There's more stringent regulations coming to that. So a lot of these communities know about it, but not necessarily have actually dove in to actually even look at the costs associated with some of these
Well,
permits.
It seems like the DEP's coming up with these regulations over a period of time. I'm not sure how much input, they're coming to us to ask to feed them,
Yeah, they're not.
The permit gets put
rather than
out
feeding
for,
down all the
it
time.
gets put out for public comment, and that's why this was supposed to go in 2016. It got extended, all this public comment, there was, you know, people trying to sue the DEP for this and that. Some people thought the permit wasn't strict enough, so they sued as well. So then litigation happens, and then finally they just said, you know what? This is the effective permit date, and we expect you to follow it. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is as far as timing for getting permits and all that, but it's the updates and continuation forever of sending reports in on data that's collected, that's required to be collected to some, on different points of time to maintain this program.
Right.
And that's what I'm questioning to some degree is why do you need to keep on sending and collecting data year after year if there's nothing wrong? Do you need to do it year after year in these discussions, or the DEP have enough leeway to say, okay, we don't need to hear from you for 2 years or something, or we need this data report in 2 years?
During one of our workshop, I believe I asked Mr. Sivian, Fred Sivian from the DEP, like you said, what if we go and evaluate our system, find no, toxins or anything in our stormwater system? You know, after our 3 or 4 years of testing our entire system, we find no contaminants. Do we still need to continue to do the investigation? And he said yes. So.
I think we should still push back. You know, it's easy to say yes.
So
Tough to
it's
say
sort
no.
of
There's
built
not-
on,
yeah.
the investigations are sort of built on each other. You come up with an initial ranking, you do 3 years of testing, because, you know, obviously this is time consuming, you can't do it all right away.
Yes.
And then you re-rank your outfalls. And then those ones you have to go upstream to every pipe and every structure at that outfall and do more testing. And guess how long that's gonna take? You know, you've got 360 outfalls, and every single one of them has 10, 12, 40 structures that you have to go up and test.
Yeah.
So it's sort of based on, you don't have to do them all. If
Yeah.
you don't find anything, you don't have to test it, but
This is gonna be a new adventure as far as a stormwater scenario, but
Yes.
it's all the other DEP reports that that we're continually doing on top of the new stormwater requirement. It's like, okay, you know, we only have so many resources to some degree, and we've been filing all these paperwork that you put on your shelves for this other stuff. Can we set some of this other stuff aside when we're not having a problem and go back to the stormwater scenario, which is new on the books, which is kind of necessary to some degree, but
Sure.
it's all the other stuff that when we go through the budgets that are listing DEP requirements, and all we do is fill out reports, or we send this out to an outside contractor, and he does it, and he sends us a bill for $40,000-$50,000. Those are the kind of things I'm looking at. But I agree with you on the stormwater. That's going to be ongoing. A new adventure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how strict they come down on everyone.
Excellent.
We'll all find out together.
Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
thanks, Tom. Water and Sewer Administrator's Report. Felix.
Good afternoon. Recently completed the last phase of the 2018 R&I study. We're a little behind schedule due to the weather. They tested 40 buildings for inflow from roof leaders and driveway drains. I tested. Final results will be coming in a week or two. We had sewer crews out inspecting sewer manholes in various areas of the town. This is something kind of new. We're going to try and get all our sewer manholes inspected. It's going to take a long time. Just in the week that they've been out there, they found 18 that have infiltration. They found 16 that need repairs. So that list is going to grow. We're finding these things, and that's on the DEP list. You've got to be out looking for these problems and be fixing them, so we're doing that. Recently had some problems with our pumps at Watchog. The original impellers for the pumps were worn due to the grit within the sewage water. We sent one out already. It's already come back. It's been repaired with new hard iron impellers. Should last longer. At the time these pumps were built, the materials weren't available for those impellers. So again, had to be done. Town staff removed the pumps, brought them out by Boston. After they repaired, brought them back and reinstalled them, and that saved us a lot of money.
How was the new truck with that?
Beautiful. Couldn't have done it without the truck.
Yep, yep,
So that truck already saved us $22,000.
yes. 22 grand.
$22,000.
That's a big savings.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
it's huge.
Anything we can do in-house, we're gonna do in-house. Working with Ty and Bond right now to complete some plans for a wastewater meter vault on North Main Street. Hope to get that in the hands of the Water and Sewer Commission in Springfield before their start up of their main project. We're doing some sewer renovations on North Main and White Street.
From what, North Main and White?
It's in the spring. I'm trying to hop on
We're
board
piggybacking,
and
yeah.
coordinate, do what we gotta do at the same time. We're gonna have a crew working, contractor working there, so we're gonna hop on board with them with that. So hopefully that all comes together.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Quick question. What's the report out of Springfield with the notice that was sent out to everybody in the past month? And now, finally, it took Springfield to send out their notice to their own customers a month,
water?
3-4 weeks
Yeah, the
after
water
we
quality-
get ours.
water Quality.
We won't know until our next water samples,
Okay.
which is the second week of March.
But we will be meeting with Springfield Water and Sewer Commission tomorrow. They have invited all the communities that they provide water for to a meeting tomorrow afternoon to see, I don't know what they're gonna have to tell us, but I'll keep you guys posted of anything I do hear.
I was just surprised that our letters went out before Springfield's.
That's because I'm good.
Well, like
I
I
know.
said, we like to get the
It
notifications
was
out
very
as soon
good.
as we hear.
You are.
Like I said, I'd rather have it, the notice in your hand versus seeing it on the news.
Did you get a lot of comments from the public or
Felix, yes,
Lots of phone calls.
Yes.
yeah concerns? I'm
And-
sure.
yes.
Thanks for getting your extension right on the letter.
So do you want to even go further based on the DBR and how it's going to affect us long-term, or where our,
With our next round of sampling,
We'll have
Just-
better results? Or
even if the
better,
results are good, we need below zero
right, right,
to
for,
pass.
for our four-quarter
For a
averages.
four-quarter average.
for us, you mean East Long Meadow,
Yes,
not Springfield?
right.
So it's impossible for us to pass.
Yes, exactly. So,
Because it's your four-quarter average.
Right.
So we're gonna.
So we'll be writing this, all these
This
letters
is-
will go out again.
Right. So hopefully Springfield gives you some more information tomorrow.
regardless, like I said, even though like I said, our HAAs may be at acceptable levels, we're still gonna need to do notification based on, obviously, the four-quarter average.
Right.
Even though the water quality is gonna be better, we're still gonna need to do notifications.
They have decreased their chlorine output. Because
Right.
the organics had come
Right.
down, come down.
Right.
Right.
So it just takes time. The stuff has to work
Right.
its way out.
Right.
There's been more precipitation, with the rain in the last month or so with snow. I'm not sure how much of an impact that would have on Springfield.
Not much.
No,
They've been lowering their levels.
and the weather has been extremely cold.
Cold helps.
Yes.
Cold helps,
yes,
I believe.
Yes.
You
Yes.
couldn't get any colder than it was in the past month or
Right.
so.
like I said, it's all the heavy rains. That's what's really, like I said, it flushes everything into the reservoir up there at Cobble Mountain. That's what causes it. So,
So you keep us abreast.
yes, absolutely.
Does the Department of Health have anything to tie in with this at all, or does she get involved with this at all? Or?
We let her know what's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure she's getting phone calls too, right?
Right, we keep her, yes,
Okay.
definitely keep her and the town manager and the town council in the loop with everything we find beforehand, obviously. Yep.
That's it, Felix? Thank you. Building and facilities manager, Joe.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Working on the town hall, still trying to get those break rooms, do the break room and the bathroom remodeled. That
Right.
should be the last of the last phase of renovations there. About 90% done now, just some touching up, the tiles all done. And then, Meadowbrook School, we're working on the oldest modular classrooms to be taken off and replaced. So we had some testing done out there, asbestos testing, and they had some core drilling to see if we can put a foundation in and stuff. That's moving on pretty good. Then the roof is going on there this summer also. So we've been working with the engineers with that, trying to get a plan put together for that. And Maple Shade School, we're working on a door project to replace some doors for efficiency and for security, more locking, more locks, and better, stronger doors, I guess, stronger latches. Some of the doors, they don't have locks on them now, so. And there's a steam plate project we're doing at Meadowbrook also, I'm sorry, Maple Shade, which is coming just in time, because we had a steam leak there the other day. So we repaired it what we could. It's about a 10-foot piece of pipe that's very deteriorated, so.
Those are
Perfect
all
timing.
asbestos covered steam
Are not.
pipes?
The
They're not?
asbestos has already been abated previously,
Okay,
so it's all straight fiberglass insulation, no corners.
okay.
They checked it about a month ago. We opened the tunnels up for the first time in probably 10 years.
That was at
I was
Maple
gonna say-
Shade?
Yes.
How old is that facility?
55?
Yeah, it's just 50.
50, yep.
Maple Shade?
Yes, it's the
Yeah,
oldest
so it's
school.
oldest.
Okay, still the school.
Yep. And like Joe said, perfect timing.
Yeah.
We couldn't, plan it in.
Talk
Oh,
about
Yeah.
Talk about it this spring.
Yeah.
Hope it warms up.
And other than that, it's just been maintenance on the rest of the buildings, trying to keep up with everything. And
How'd you do at the high school with the leaks?
that was kind of I'm gonna say, just a bad situation. Some of the roof drains were full, plus there was 4 inches of snow on the ground, on the roof. Then you get water on top of that, so now the whole roof is a sponge. There are a couple spots there we've been trying to fix for,
Years.
I wouldn't go as far as years, but there's a couple leaks. There's one right, of course, not the worst one. The most visible one is right in front of the office. The skylights are, they should be outlawed.
Right.
You know, they're looking to fail no matter what you do.
Yeah.
2 thin pieces of plastic on a curb that you don't need.
Is there any way to remove those?
Yeah, we replace them every year.
Yeah.
We replace the new lenses on them every year.
Just get rid of them completely though, or do we need the natural light?
We do like 10 a year because of the cost. It's roughly about almost probably about $8,000 to replace 10 of them a year. So
Yeah,
we've been
right.
we've
There's a
been
double.
doing it obviously as time allows and what projects we do have and replace those.
Are we replacing them or taking them out completely?
We're replacing the glass. The
acrylic is on
plexiglass,
top. There's
yeah.
2 layers of acrylic on top. Take those off, reseal them, put them back on.
How hard would it be just to eliminate them and just to roof over?
Well,
You
that's
have to- then you have to roof over. That's
Right.
the problem.
so the cost is probably probably a little cheaper to replace the skylight versus taking the curb off. You have to hire a roofer come in and patch the hole.
How many skylights are there?
64.
Yeah, there's a lot.
No.
Just wondering if that's,
That would be a good thing if you replace the roof.
If the school's not gonna go away,
Right.
If
And we're gonna
if
upgrade
roof,
it.
Eliminate them all. Put
Right.
new lights
Yes.
in, insert a new light
instead
in.
of spending $8,000 a year to
Yeah,
replace
absolutely.
Not to
10.
mention the heat loss out the sky.
Right.
Out the skylights.
I would say if you're gonna put the new roof, get rid of the skylights.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely get rid of them.
I agree.
As part of the upgrade and part of the cost savings in the long run.
I'm sure you can put a light there.
Yeah, something, oh yeah, absolutely.
Is that back on the capital listing as far as the new roof for the high school?
No.
No.
The reason why I say that is again, they just got shot down from being put on the list.
Yes.
And you're talking 5+ years out.
Oh, at least, if not, probably
7.
more, yeah.
Even to think about replacing that high school, where the roof really needs to be replaced. I'm sure you guys agree to that.
Absolutely.
Sooner or later, somebody's gonna
That
come
and the
to the
electrical system.
realization that our children are still being placed in a place that has leaky roofs, that's continually leaking all the time. We're not gonna get a new high school for 5+ years. When is somebody gonna put it on the list and vote to replace the roof?
Yep, I agree. I give my recommendation, myself and Mr. Dunn, to the superintendent.
Nobody would have a house with a leaky roof on it
Right.
year after year, even if you thought you were gonna sell your house in 5 years, you'd fix the roof or replace the roof. You
Yes.
wouldn't wait 5 years to replace a roof.
Right,
Why would we do that with a high school?
I agree.
Is the roof, can the roof be repaired or replaced in sections, or does it have to be all done at once?
You can do sections. We actually have the worst section on the capital plan for the last 4 or 5 years because the roof is actually tenting. It's actually lifted up off the surface probably 3 inches.
Some
It is
spots,
so
yeah,
tight,
on the edges, yeah.
it's ready to tear.
it's
That's
not-
$193,000.
193,000?
Yeah, the first-
193,000,
the freshman wing, there was somebody hit it with an airplane, right?
yes,
And burned the roof.
Yes.
Remote control airplane,
Yes.
they burned the membrane, so they replaced it. The whole roof, 90%, 80% of the roof is PVC.
Mhm.
That is EPDM, the black rubber.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff, right?
No, the PVC's a better.
The PVC's
roof, but
better.
Yeah, the black one is older and it's not old, but it's starting to lift and there's, spots where it's not even touching the insulation anymore.
So
Yes.
that one, has that been leaking quite a bit over the freshman area?
It was for,
There was a couple spots near that were bad, but like I said, the whole thing that happened a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
everybody who walked into school, the first thing they saw was a leak.
Right.
Yeah.
So you figure every kid that walked in there took a picture of it. Every parent got that picture, so now there's 600 pictures of a leak. The perception was that there was 600 leaks in the school.
Right.
yeah, and there
So that's-
wasn't.
that's-
Right.
There wasn't. There was
Yeah,
probably
so-
10 leaks
So
maybe.
you
Yeah.
have a wing that's a freshman wing that leaks, that has a leaky roof, and you got an electrical system in that wing that's probably, how bad?
Well, the whole school is just taxed.
I know, but
Yeah.
that wing is there is bad, isn't it?
It's sick. It's just, the whole school is
Yeah.
the whole school is taxed. When it was built, nobody had computers in every classroom. Nobody
Right.
had
Yep.
all the equipment now, the copiers and so the whole school is just taxed.
Yep, it's at its capacity, just put it that way.
Who
Can't
built-
add a single thing.
Who builds the case every year for the funding for the state? Is it the school department?
School, it's
committee.
an SOI. I usually help Mr. Smith with
Okay.
that. I sit down with him every year, do a statement of interest.
Yeah.
And we update it based on what has transpired over the last year. Like I said, we've updated the electrical system. Like I said, we lose circuits
Yeah, you gotta,
roughly
leaking
every
water
year
on
that we
electrical
need to
circuits.
replace,
Right.
so, yeah.
it's all wiring in that section, I assume.
Very old wiring, like I said, a lot of the wiring that's going bad is in the slab, obviously because of condensation and everything else,
Right.
the old cloth wiring. So like I said, our electrician is constantly busy over at that facility. Yep.
Anything else, Joe?
Don't let us say other than that, just trying to keep everything running to get through the winter, so.
Thank you.
We'll get you some more duct tape.
Lots of duct tape.
Don't let it be too cold. It won't stay too long. I guess it's the highway and utility manager. Roy or Jake?
Well, no, I already made my announcement already the last time, so everybody knows, okay, just to let you know, I went on a little vacation, so before the vacation, Bruce was able to, hire Jay, and he accepted, so I was with him, about a week, almost a week and a half, just to go over everything, so while I was gone, he was able to take over. And it didn't go smooth like normal cars would have it, you think, oh, it's just a week of the winter, but no, they had a couple snowstorms, you get a couple water breaks, you got
Right.
an
Yeah.
accident, so, I mean, he
Keeping it
got
busy.
right into the fire.
Yeah.
That's the best way to
And
learn.
He did well, he did well.
Yeah.
He has some fire experience.
Yeah.
Another state, another town, so he kinda had a handle on it. So you know, I think he did very
Yeah,
well.
Absolutely.
He made all the right choices, Bruce and
Yep.
Joe are, you know, around to help him out. And it went very well. So now I'm working with him. And as these things come up with trees or whatever, you know, he's asking questions and I'm kind of bringing him through everything. Any scenario that may happen, you know, sometimes I don't think of it right away until something reminds me of it. And he said, "Hey, how about this? Oh yeah, I should tell you about that." So it's been real well, you know, taking down a lot of notes.
But I would think, Jay, coming over from another town like Granby, you know, you must have experienced somewhat similar items happening there as what happens in this town.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the detailed knowledge of the workings of the infrastructure is what you lack. That walks around in that little computer in Bird's head.
I've told him it's unbelievable. He'll say, I remember this, there's a sewer line that runs over here, branches out that way, connects that way, and we're looking at it woods, I'm like,
Yeah. That's probably what the really the lacking is. And I'm not sure how good the plans that are laid out in the town that have been archived for years.
Well, we
Are
have a
available.
working collector system, which actually Roy obviously upstate on a daily basis. You can go out there, update the collector, and that links to our GIS system. So there is a working map that when we do find problems, even foreman and everything else can go out and modify and make sure the pipe, the manhole, and everything else is in the right spot. So some new technology that we do have, which was here 5-6 years ago.
That's great.
But we'll make do.
It's helping.
I put so many things on there. Mike Ray's having a hard time just taking it all and putting it on the other GIS. So there's a lot of information out there, and I keep adding to it. So.
It helps.
Yep, absolutely.
So you're really not retiring.
I'm not losing his number.
I have your number too.
Nice.
So I guess, is that it, Roy, or?
Well, that's from me. Jay's gonna.
Jay's gonna-
There you go.
I'm not here. Jay's gonna tell you what happens.
So like you said, we did have, the town crews battled 5 snowstorms so far in 2019. Each one of them is different and unique, as you probably saw. We had snow, we've had sleet, we've had freezing rain, classic New England mix. The crews have done a great job managing those storms and keeping us running throughout. As well as Roy mentioned, one of the things we had was a water break on Pease Road, which the crews did a great job effectively repairing. In some of the worst conditions, it was night, it was snowing, the water main was 8 inch, I think, and it was running down the street like a river, but the crews did a
12
fantastic.
inch.
12 inch
12
running
inch,
down the
right.
street like a river, but the crews did a great job putting that pipe back together in a quick and effective manner. We have service back to customers very quickly, so considering all the different elements that we're moving, all the different parts we're moving, it went really well. And a smaller break on Dewey Street, which went very well too. We were able to repair those repairs. You know, in the spring when the weather warms up, we'll come in and we'll patch those the pavement, and hopefully they'll be good to go. Pothole repairs is ongoing. It's probably going to be ongoing for a few months until the weather warms up. We're staying on top of it and trying to get every single one. We're focusing on the worst, but we're trying to get every one we can. We're also removing trees as needed. This last wind event created 16 separate work orders for trees, and this is for the last 24 hours or so. And again, the crews did a great job. In fact, as of 3 o'clock, they have pretty much gotten all the trees, brush, limbs cleaned up that we could do that didn't have wires or other utilities in them. So there's a few spots left where we're waiting for the power company to come in and do their work, which is to remove those limbs and trees on the wires. There's one on Hampton Road that still hasn't been addressed by Angelo, so we're waiting for that one. And I believe there's a couple other ones that we just noticed this afternoon that we'll be sending our crews tomorrow to handle.
Did we lose any large trees, or was they mostly limbs and?
No, we had some large trees.
Yeah.
We have some fairly large trees. The
Yeah.
biggest of the trees seem to come down on private property, from private property.
Yeah.
So, some neighbors who may have had a visit from their neighbors in the
Yeah.
form of a very, some large trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't have any really major issues except for that one outage. And that was handled by the power company, so. We put into service the new Mack truck, number 70. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. It makes a big difference because of its drivability, its abilities to plow snow. It's reliable. It's got a nice all-season body, which makes a big difference for the crews. They can sand and plow. They're not limited to one or the other. It's the way I'd like to see us go in the future. So all of our vehicles are able to do both. They're not limited.
So we didn't have any manhole covers ripped up and caps ripped off because it does such a great job, and
No.
you don't even feel it being popped up.
Yeah, well, so far so good.
No,
Yeah.
no mailboxes ripped off the corners of the side street
Oh,
curbs.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Did we have a few mailboxes removed?
Well, mostly the mailboxes are taken, the
By
damage to
accident,
mailboxes
of
almost
course.
always by snow,
Yeah.
throwing snow.
Yeah.
Occasionally they'll hit a mailbox. A lot of times we find that that's because the mailbox maybe is installed a little too close to the road. We'll still repair them, but we try to make sure the homeowner understands that. If it's hanging out over the curb, it's probably more likely to get hit by a car.
The only reason why I'm asking is because a lot of the neighborhoods, they've been there for a while, and then, like you say, every once in a while, something happens to some degree, but for the most part, they've been around, but things do happen, and you may wipe one out once in a while.
You gotta remember this too, there's some kind of maintenance that needs to be done when it comes to mailboxes. I mean, I got home yesterday, mine was on the ground. The bottom piece of wood just rotted out, so some of the instances, like I said, we do have a new mailbox replacement policy. We do not replace the mailbox unless it is directly hit by a plow. If snow goes by and hits it, we're not replacing it because it just falls on the ground. There may be some maintenance items or just poor construction. So, but we do go out and investigate every single one to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure the residents are getting the best service. So.
I could imagine most of the mailboxes that have issues are probably on the main roads where the speed's a little bit faster for the
Yeah.
plows. Because I mean, the plow drivers do a great job on the side streets.
Sure.
They take their time. They do a good job cleaning everything up,
Right.
and I've never had an issue. But
Right. Yep. Yep.
The other new piece of equipment is truck 28, which is a F550 with a lift gate. It's a really nice piece of equipment. Again, it's going to be a great asset. It's got a toolbox between the body and the cab, which is extraordinarily convenient for the guys who are working. The lift gate's going to give us the capability of bringing a more heavier piece of equipment to a job without as much trouble with impact or pump. Put a lift gate, get it out there. That truck's going to be valuable in the coming years. Looking forward to it. And Felix had mentioned that we have 2 guys now dedicated to the manhole inspection program. And like Felix said, they're identifying all sorts of issues that we wouldn't have found out until it was too late, typically. And they're still available for snow removal and for other emergencies. So it's really the best of both worlds. Really,
That's good. The whole thing would be taking the information you get from the testing and inspections and coming up with a plan to how you're gonna support Felix and getting them repaired and prioritizing which ones need to be done as quickly as possible versus, well, it could wait till the summer or whatever, that would be the key is not letting it go too long if it's deemed should be done immediately.
Well, the identification is the key. The fact that we're out there even finding these problems means that we're not at the stage where they're collapsing or failing.
Right, that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
They're getting a sinkhole and go, oh, the whole sewer line's collapsed. Or,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that would be good.
how's the salt supply doing?
We're okay.
Yeah.
We're not gonna overdo it here. We're just gonna make sure we have enough to go through the season. And, sure that, we can cover what we need to cover, but we do have, I think we have plenty to get through the rest of the year. We got an event tomorrow night and possibly one or two
To the
more
weekend,
next,
yeah.
next week, and the weather, the sun is on our side now. The days are longer, the sun is higher in the sky, so typically the snow melts quicker, it's quicker, easier to clean up, you don't have to use quite as much chemical to get it off the road. So everything's in our favor at this point going forward.
We've used actually 2,655 tons of salt so far this year.
Is that less than or more than normal?
Than last year, I don't have
this
those
point in
figures with
time?
me, Phil, of course. This is this year's running snow
Yeah.
report, so
And how much did we order for the year?
3,500 tons.
And we used
I believe
260
it's part of a bid, so that's what I
Right.
allocated. We don't necessarily get charged for that 3,500, but that's
Okay.
what I put in reserve for the town of East Long Meadow. So I think we're right on track.
For the most part, this hasn't been that bad of a winter.
No, it hasn't.
But March can be a funny month. You could get the whole season's worth of snow in the month of March, in the beginning of April, to some
18.
degree. but-
We've actually had 20 events that we've actually had to send crews out to salt and sand. And like you said, nuisance storms, like you
Right.
said,
Right.
The
sometimes
small ones.
It's
um,
small.
cost
That's the
costs
most
more.
annoying,
Yeah, you still have to respond,
Yeah.
even if we
Right.
get in, but
Yeah.
make
It's
sure
the
you're
slate
gonna get
too.
it.
Cause
Right.
It's a
Still
slow-
throwing the salt down.
Right. So at the 220 storm, we used 54 loads of salt in the trucks, 54 truckloads that went out and got put down on the ground. We've actually used 63 on 212. So we use, like I said, the nuisance storms. Like I said, that storm was a 2-inch storm. We used 54 loads of salt. So
Is it pretty consistent from storm to storm, or does it just depend on the
it
storm?
changes.
Yeah.
Like I said, we had so we used 54 loads on a 2-inch storm. We used 39 loads on a 4-inch storm.
Right.
But we
Nice.
also used 63 loads on a 4-inch storm. So it
Depends
all
on the
depends.
mixture.
Like I said, the
Yeah.
sleet. If it's snow, it's less. But the sleet is really the thing that's killing you.
Right.
With the ice.
We've had a lot of sleet this year, freezing
Exactly.
rain.
Yeah, it's been a wintry mix.
Yeah.
I got a funny feeling maybe that way for the next couple of storms.
Well, like you said, even our first storm was on 11/15. We had 5 inches of snow. We only used 25 loads of salt
Yeah.
because it was snow.
There's all
Right.
snow.
So, anyways.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
I guess it's any other business?
I don't have anything else except that I'll be going to the town council meeting at 6 p.m. tonight, obviously to see if we get the vote to proceed forward with the Stormwater Enterprise Fund bylaw.
I wanted to ask you, what was the change of heart from the bylaw subcommittee? Because I know originally, wasn't there a lot of
Yeah.
negativity towards the bylaw?
I think after we actually had the chief financial officer there with me this past meeting, I think she kind of explained how the whole enterprise fund works and how it helps mitigate some of the costs related to the general fund. So this is going to be charged to the general fund. It's going to be its own self-sustaining fund in which we can modify on a yearly basis, just like our water and sewer rates.
Just took a little education to the bylaw subcommittee.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they made the recommendation to the
Sure.
board.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yep, and the
So-
only other thing I do have, our stormwater disconnect program, I know at, I believe our last minute, meeting, we were talking about that. It's helped mitigating some of the, sump pumps and everything else that's,
You're right.
tied into our system, so I'm doing some public education. I have LCAT, I did a video a couple weeks ago. There'll be another video coming out, so homeowners are aware of what's coming. We'll be sending out letters probably in March at some point in time, to let people know you need to obviously disconnect from our sewer system. And like you said, we're not gonna just tell people you need to disconnect. If they need help in coming up with a plan, we'll be more than happy to assist.
That'll be coming out in March.
Yes. I don't wanna do it now.
No,
Obviously, you
it's
can't
right
do
in the
anything
middle.
with a sump pump in the middle of winter. So like you said, we're gonna be waiting to
I
see.
don't disagree. Yeah.
Right, so it's not something, I don't want, it's one of those things, it's a hard thing to do, but we need to do it.
Right.
In the long run, once we do more investigation, like you said, we can maybe even end up reducing our sewer bills, because of the amount of waste that's going to Bonnie's Island. So this whole program is to hopefully reduce some of those waste requirements and numbers in the long run. So,
Thanks, Bruce.
yep,
Anything else?
nope.
Need to schedule next meeting?
Do you guys have a date in mind, or do you want me to send out an email again?
because you
Yeah,
said-
can work 'em out with the
you said
email.
something about next week or 2 weeks?
Well, in the next, probably at minimum, probably 2 weeks from now, but, yeah. I'm, like I said, I'm gonna be diving into the water and sewer rates,
Right.
getting those projections and everything else. So I don't know if you guys have a preference, you want me to just send out an email, or how do you guys wanna?
Yeah, email works fine. The last week of March does not work for me, so just
Okay.
make sure you don't schedule for that week. Besides that, I'm pretty free in March.
Okay, and Tuesday's usually the day? Okay,
Yes, for me, Tuesday would be.
Yeah, except for the 19th.
okay. Oh,
That's my son's kindergarten night. for
Nice.
Orientation.
That's
There you
important.
go.
It's a very important night.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Accept the motion to close?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second it,
5:04 p.m.
5:04.
5:04.
Thank you.
Stop.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.